Guys, and welcome to another episode of Haunt Talk. In fact, our last review of the season. But don't fret, there's still going to be a video where we go to home haunts and film them. And also, we have one that's going to be the Haunt of the Year Awards. It's going to be a whole bunch of different categories. It's going to be a fun little video. So make sure you watch that one. But yes, we are reviewing Mohican Haunted School House. Now this is, I actually forget exactly where it is. It's close to Mansfield because we always tend to go to it after Mansfield. Okay, that's yeah, it's in Perrysville, Ohio. So this one is not even that old. Because what, these people that own this, they used to have like a home haunt, didn't they?
Yeah, they used to have a home haunt in North Royalton. And I actually went there once with my mom. And we walked through the home haunt. They actually had it like in their garage, and you could walk around, and they had props and people like popping out and stuff like that. And it was actually pretty good. And they just decided, hey, you know what? We want to open our own haunted house. And they've been doing it for, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years.
I also feel like every year that we go, it definitely feels like it's different.
Yes.
I think the last time we did this was in 2019.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
It also used to be called Lessons in Fear, by the way.
Yeah.
Which I like that name better. I really like the name
I
Lessons
do
in
too.
Fear. I keep calling it that.
There's so many different haunted school houses and
Right.
stuff like that, that it just was a more unique name.
Yeah, Lessons in Fear, I
liked it.
really like that name. So I don't know if there's a reason they had to change it or not, but I like that one better. But that, doesn't really matter, I guess, overall. We were surprised we got there. Like, Mansfield was so insanely busy, and this place had, like, almost no one there. And we did get there, like, 30 minutes before it closed, which probably was it. But I will say that it helped our experience. But before we get in the review and talk about that experience, make sure you check out our Patreon if you haven't. I forget to mention it a lot, but it helps support us, We put all of our own money into all of this, and YouTube pays almost nothing, so it's just great if you would be willing to help support us. We only have one at the moment, so if you'd be our second, third, and whatever you might be when you're watching this video, that would be fantastic. And again, we're going to have more content coming out besides just haunt stuff. We have Creeps, Creatures, and Haunts, which is a podcast where we talk about real haunted stuff. Sometimes we do talk about, fake haunted houses, like attractions like this. Cryptids, all of that kind of fun stuff. We also have a series called Haunted Adventures where we do actual ghost hunting. We have one on Mansfield, actually, which is cool. If you've just watched that review, we actually have a ghost hunted there and a bunch of other places, and we plan on doing more. But yes, we'll go ahead now and get right into the review, which, as always, means it's time to refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead!
All right, so of course we're starting off with sets and props. This is a very Mod Podge of a haunted house where they got like no real.
There's not one particular theme.
Yeah.
Even though like it is a schoolhouse, there's only a couple rooms that are schoolhouse themed.
Yeah. So like one of the first scenes you walk into is like a big creepy cemetery, which is really awesome. They have one of my favorite laser swamps.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite laser swamps. It is becoming one of those things that it is a bit overdone now. Like every haunt seems to have one. Yeah. But this one is big, and underneath the laser swamp is a maze.
Yes.
Which is interesting. So you really got to feel your way around because you don't know if you're about to run into a little wall or not. Because it's like literally right. Like if you look real close, you can kind of see most of the time. But I kind of like the fact that it's a maze, and of course there's someone in there in the black suit that pops up. That's part of a laser swamp. That's what you do. But yeah, I do think they have one of the best laser swamps because it's how big it is.
Yeah.
You have to like navigate around it.
There's a really cool art gallery that had like these creepy mannequins. One of them actually did move. I know it's an animatronic you can purchase, which I thought was really cool. It was a very good place for it. I thought it was really neat. Yeah. And they always had like an art gallery there, and we always enjoyed it. It was always really cool.
But it's always different, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things is kind of segue here is that this place has a lot of artwork on their walls that they have local artists come in and decorate walls with horror icons and like just creepy Halloween imagery and stuff like that. Like you'll walk through and you'll see Elvira, you'll see Vincent Price, you'll see creepy ass pumpkins. It's just really cool that they have like these people coming in and decorating their walls because they didn't want them to just be boring walls. They're like, hey, come in, paint this, which I think is really cool. There was a baby doll room, which was really awesome with lots of creepy baby dolls.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool ones. They had a pretty neat clown section,
Yes.
actually, which, kind of, this kind of intertwines between actors and that. But basically, like, you walk in and you're asked if you're, like, scared of the lights, and the lights shut off, and then it turns back on, the actor's gone, and then the next room, the lights turn back off, and the actor reappears. But it's not in the same room, so I did kind of like that. I thought it was cool that they kind of had, like, a little bit of an interactive scene there. But yeah, it's just, there's a lot of different scenes, like, back to back. Like, there's a lab that was really cool, When you get to the basement, which I think is, like, the first part that they made, like, when they first opened, it's weird because it kind of, like, so the first 2 floors is more of, like, your, like a newer traditional haunt where you walk through the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, you are in the scenes. Where the basement, it's strange. It's a lot of, like, hallways, and you, like, look into the scenes.
Yeah. Which is very old school, like...
It is very old school, and I'm mixed about the basement because I really do think it needs updating, but also the basement's probably where some of the best scares we had of the night were, because it seemed like there's a ton of actors, and again, we'll get more into that in actors, but it also, I feel like, does need updating because it's, like, it's very standout-ish. But there are some cool scenes towards the end of the basement, like there's this cool, like, room with, like, a laser grid shining through. It kind of looks like you're in space or something.
Yeah. I really liked that
cool.
room. My only thing is, I don't know why, but I felt like it needed bubbles.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool with bubbles. Like those fog bubbles. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Because you said it reminded you of Stranger Things.
It did.
There were, like, people in, like, those big, like, astronaut-y kind of things.
Yeah, like those big hazmat things with the big masks and stuff.
Like they would wear when they went to the Upside Down.
Yeah,
like the people
and that's instantly what I thought of when we walked in there. I'm like, oh, wow. And I felt like it needed, like, bubbles or fobbles or whatever they call them. And it just would have been, like, perfect.
Yeah, I really did like most of the sets and props. You definitely can tell a lot of places that this, like, has been repurposed from a school, like with the ceiling and the floor. And there was actually a cool section that was just a giant classroom that you kind of walked around, and that was kind of cool. It reminded me a lot of, like, what we saw at Crawford School of Terror. Actually, that seemed it.
Yeah.
There's a small outside section as well. It's more of kind of like a fancy pallet maze, but there was a cool UFO prop out there.
Yeah, we love aliens and haunted houses. There's not enough.
There is not enough, and I don't understand why. Aliens are terrifying. And people don't theme things to aliens very often. Like, what, 100 Acre Manor, I think, was, like, the only one this year that really had a whole alien-themed section.
Yep.
But
I like aliens. More aliens, please.
Yes, more aliens, please. But either way, sets and props, we gave an 8.75. We thought they were really good, but just not quite a 9, because I think that basement needs a little bit of updating. For my personal taste, at least. You might differ, but...
Yeah. So that brings us to actors. A lot of pretty good interactive actors in this haunt.
And there's actually a lot of them, too. Like, this was one of the few haunts. This one and Ghoul Brothers and Chippewa. Most of the haunts, like even some of our favorites, like Rich's Fright Farm or just Fright Farm, still lacking in actors. But this one, like, I don't think there was almost any dead space.
No. And
none.
I mean, yeah, we saw, like, some of the same actors numerous times, but it was actually, like, kind of welcoming, and it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And, like, the way that they would come in to the scenes, because they had, like, those secret doors and stuff like that, which we always love, how they can pop into different scenes at different times. The first guy you encounter, actually, he's kind of the guy that, like, spaces everybody out and gets you into the haunt. And he was very interactive. He made us take a card to see who was going to lead.
Yeah.
And who was going to die, so to speak. Which I thought was really cool. He was very spooky and
yeah, it was. Yeah, he was fun. And then he, like, made us give us his best scream because he has, like, this bar that he's raising, and he's like, on the count of 3, and he's like 1, 2, 2.5. And
yeah.
There was a lot of good hiding spots. We got quite a few jump scares in this place.
Yes.
Which I do like. There's just a lot of really unique things. Like, there's one which is kind of like one of those painting type of things. There's a wall, and there's a bunch of shadow people painted on the wall, and one of the shadow people, like, was a person. That was cool. There's a really cool one in the Starlight Room. There's, like, all these barrels, and there's a guy hiding behind the barrel, but instead of just popping up, he literally just threw this entire giant barrel over to the side against the wall and, like, just runs at you, and actually started me pretty good. I was expecting someone to pop up from a barrel somewhere, but I wasn't expecting the barrel just to go yeeting across the room. So that was a pretty good one. Oh, yeah, and then the girl with the lights that were turned off, her name was Pop-Tart. She was cool.
Yeah, she was a clown, and she's like, my name's Pop-Tart!
And I'm like, of course it is.
Of course it is.
Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart.
It's a great name for a clown.
There was a, in the notes it just says, man nun.
Yeah, there was a man nun.
He was a man with a beard, dressed as a nun, and he just kept going like, at us. And
he was in the classroom.
He was in the classroom, yeah. And then there was this tall kid that Josh named
Traver, yeah. He asked me what my name was, and I told him. He didn't believe me because he asked her. He's like, is his name really Josh? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what's your name? He went to, I'm like, you look like a Traver. And so that's what his name is now. So
he had like little pigtails and stuff, like all over his hair.
He had a scream on him.
Oh my gosh. Like at first I didn't know it was a guy that was screaming at us.
Sure was, though.
It was so high pitched and such a perfect Scream Queen scream.
Yeah.
And it came out of this Traver. Thumbs up. It was just really good. And then Josh made somebody sad.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, when we go to haunted houses, a lot of times people are like, who wants to get killed? Or like, you know, and I always be like, you know, and I always like joke with them that, you know, and I don't remember, he was like, just asking me something about that, and he's like, are you happy? And I'm like, no, and he's like, why? And I'm like, I woke up this morning, and he's just like, didn't know what to say, and it was so funny, and he's like, I can fix that, and I'm like, please.
It's like How to Depress a Haunter.
Yeah.
By Josh Knisley.
Sorry.
Like, there
sorry,
you go.
person I depressed. I was just kidding.
There were a bunch of chainsaw people out in the outside.
Oh, there was a lot,
area.
and I actually got by one of them because like he popped out of somewhere from behind us and actually because like someone pops up from behind and there's like two, they double get you. There's like, so if you're freaked out by chainsaws, this place, the outside portion is going to really get you.
Yeah.
Like we had just got done with Mansfield where a guy was literally like pushing a chainsaw into my thigh like as hard as he could and to the point where it hurt. So like I'm like, they don't touch you here. So I'm like, I'm not really scared at this moment of chainsaws because I just got desensitized by being ravaged at Mansfield. But still though, they were good. They were aggressive. The one guy was like chainsaw, like was really big too. It's like a chainsaw measuring gun. But no, they were cool. The chainsaw guys were really cool. And I like that there's like a little outside portion too.
Yeah.
Just adds a little bit more length to the haunt and there are actually actors out there. But the only thing we like had a complaint with the actors is there was just a lot of just screaming in your ear and like, you know, I want to play type of thing. We would have liked there to be a little bit better dialogue, maybe a little less on just the generic, just screaming as loud as they can in your ears to scare you. But overall, we really enjoyed the actors and the hiding spots and all of that. We gave them a 9.25. So good job to the actors here.
Yes. So that brings us to scare factor. There were a lot of jump scares here. I got quite a few times.
Yeah, there's quite a few times that they made me yip or yeek.
They will follow you here.
Mm-hmm.
We got followed by Traver quite a bit. At one point, he just kind of got in between us. I was in the back, Josh was in the front, and he was just harassing Josh. And then he kind of got behind us, and he was just following and like lurking because he was really tall. And he was just lurking above us, and I'm just like, okay, hi. They do not touch here, so that is one thing.
Yeah. It's a good palate cleanser if you go to Mansfield and get a touch pass first.
Yeah, a little palate cleanser. There was a little bit of gore, not a lot. Obviously, there was some like hospital scenes and some lab scenes and stuff that had some bodies and things.
It's just more like traditional, like Halloween-y, like old school kind of like theming and stuff like that. It's not like real intensely gory or anything like that. Yeah, it's more of spooky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought it was entertaining, and like the jump scares were really good. They had a lot of really good spots that they were hiding in and stuff like that. They had a lot of little walls and curtains and things like that they popped out of. We did give them an 8.5 for scare factor.
Yeah, like as far as like taking someone younger to this one, I think like, you know, long as getting just jump scares doesn't like completely freak him out, this one will be fine because like the atmosphere isn't like crazy foreboding or anything. Like it does feel more fun than it does absolutely terrifying. It does have that kind of like, we describe it a lot like, I use Ghoul Brothers as like a reference a lot for like places that are fun, and like Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse for a place like it's still fun in its own right, but it's like really terrifying, and the atmosphere is just something I wouldn't recommend for a younger audience. Because all haunted houses are probably going to scare you in some way, like obviously.
Yes.
But this one, even though I do think it's pretty scary as far as jump scare goes, it's fun enough where if you have someone that's younger that's okay with jump scares, like this would be fine for them.
Yeah.
The actors also seem like they'd probably be pretty good at like not freaking out someone younger if they were like petrified. So.
Yeah. So that brings us to value. It was $25 for a general admission pass, $35 if you want to do the fast pass, and it took us about 25 minutes to get through it, which is pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty long. It's one of the longer ones, actually.
Yeah, because it was multiple floors and a base.
3 floors in total, yeah.
Yeah. So we did give them a 9 for value.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good value. Yeah, like we did not have to do the fast pass for this place because again we got there at 10:30. So maybe if you end on this place and get there later, you won't need the fast pass. But if it gets busy, I think the $10 more for a fast pass isn't that much more.
It's not bad at all.
No.
So then that brings us to our overall score, and we gave them a 9.
Yep. I think this is probably the best year. We didn't look back at what we gave them before, but I think that this is their best year that we've been there, and we've been there a couple times. Like we even went once for I think it was the Christmas. Yeah, it was a Christmas event. So we've been there many times, and this is definitely my favorite. I really liked some of the updating they've done the top 2 floors. Would just like to see the basement done up a little bit more in that, but. Yeah, overall, it was a really good time. And if you're doing like Mansfield or any other haunt in that area, like Trail of Nightmares, if you can actually manage to go when it's not pouring down rain, because we can't. This one is also like pretty much all inside now, like even the waiting line's inside.
Yeah.
It's in the old gymnasium. The last part is outside. I don't know if it's pouring down rain, if they have a way for you not to go through that part or not, but it was open. We were there. It was just drizzling though. So
yeah, and it was actually not too muddy. They actually had it pretty
it wasn't bad.
Decently like graveled and stuff like that. So I mean, it wasn't too awful out there, but yeah, it was an enjoyable, fun haunt.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But have you guys been there? Let us know what you think of it. If you're sad because haunt reviews are now over, make sure you do watch our home haunt video and our haunt of the year video, which will be coming out here very shortly after this. And then, let us know if you have any suggestions besides what we previously stated, like our podcast and that. If you have anything you would like to see, we're constantly trying to find entertaining content we can make that isn't, haunted house related, since we can only do these throughout certain times of the year. Let us know that. Let us know what you'd like to see. And as always, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.